Welcome back to Oliver's greenhouse. Now I'm back, it's Monday afternoon, Monday evening. Of course the Orchid show was on Saturday, so I was up with my wife up at the Orchid show up at London. Of some of the clips at the beginning of this video, some of the footage I took whilst I was up there. I was mainly up there to sort of chill out and enjoy rather than film, so I just took some photos and recorded some just small panning shots of some of the displays which were looking really, really good. I mean, we were sort of sport for choice really. It was just like a big orchid market, but you know, there was a lot of good displays on which were really worth having a look at, so it was brilliant. And I bumped into a few of you guys as well. A couple of people came over to say hello. It's good to see that other people are prepared to tolerate my bad editing skills. So that was really, really nice. It was a great show. So I picked up a big delivery from Ecuador. There's a picture of me and Ivan at the beginning of this video, picking up the plants from him. And I bought a few extra ones as well, some sort of interesting ones I've been looking for a long time that were just at the right price, because a lot of them, if you go to just buy the plant, you might get a slightly, I like to get small, younger plants. I find they acclimatise to the greenhouse a lot better and sort of sort themselves out. Sometimes I find if you get a new orchid, put it straight in the greenhouse, they're sort of don't know what's happened to themselves. So they can be a bit, I find they get a bit sulky. So I ended up with 16 plants. All new orchids, so we're going to have a look at those. Some of them I planned to purchase, some of them you'll understand why I purchased them, and then some of them were just off-the-cuff purchases. So they're laid out on a tray here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you them quickly. I'm not going to unpack them all because, frankly, I can't be bothered. It's going to take too long and make this video too long. But we're going to have a look at each one. Whilst it's in its package, I'll have a quick chat about why I was interested in it, and then I'm going to go ahead and pot all these guys up. So I'm very busy. Like I said, I've got 16 plants to pot up, mount, you know, do various bits and pieces to tonight. So I'm going to be pretty busy, and I don't want to film it because it's going to be too long. But what I will do is, once everything's done, I'll turn the camera on and we'll have a look at everything once it's ready to go into the greenhouse. So I'll pick you guys up. We'll come down there and have a look. Okay, here's a shot of the whole haul. This is everything I've got to that I purchased from the Orchid show. I've had to move the camera back to actually get all of this in. What I'll do is I'll just get these guys out and try and put them into species order. So we've got a couple of dendrochilums. These were definitely an impulse buy, but they're two species which I've been after for a while, and they'd always been too big and too expensive, and these little plants were just the right price. That's a zootrophan or zootrophian. We've got a Diodonopsis here, which is like a little type of Masdevallia. To lay that guy down, he doesn't want to stand up. We'll have a quick look at them a bit closer up. We've got a Dryadella, that's going to sit over here. I've got a Dracula, put him over here. Another Dryadella, a big one. Poroglossum, because I love poroglosums. Another poroglossum. A Scaphocephalum, I love Scaphocephalum. Another Scaphocephalum. See, there's sort of almost like a theme starting here. Make some room, move my phone out of the way. And then over here, these two big ones. This is Dikea tenuis. And this is also another Dikea. This is Dikea trula. Two very big Dikeas. Those things are massive. Okay, so what I've done is I've got a different angle here. It's going to be easy to see stuff, so I'll just run through them quickly. That was a Scaphocephalum ursinum. This one here, nice big plant, very healthy, lush green leaves, very big. It's got a sort of like a red magenta colour to it. We've got this rather large Dryadella. This is Dryadella simula. Quite tall again, you can see it next to my hand. It's not quite as dwarf as some of the others. I've killed one of those in the past, that's why I've got that guy to replace it. It produces tiny little flowers in the crown. Scaphocephalum breve, dark. It's got some old flower spikes in here as well. What have we got here? This is Poroglossum dalstromii. It's focusing in on that. Nice healthy looking plants. They're always such healthy looking plants when I get them from Ecuador. I love those guys. Another Poroglossum. This is Poroglossum muscosum. It's almost like sort of purpley in colour, almost like it's had too much light. This was an impulse buy. This is Dracula andretii. This was I've always wanted to try Dracula. I didn't know whether it was going to hack it, and you can see the price there. This was 20 quid, so not sure how much that is in dollars, but it was the right price, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm just going to try one in the greenhouse, and we'll see how we get on. Let's do some of the little orchids. These guys are super sweet. They're tiny. Look at how lush and green that is. This is Diodonopsis erinaceae. Hopefully it'll focus in. There we go. And it just looks like little grass tuft. It's fantastic, very lush looking little thing. Produces very pretty little flowers, a bit like a Scaphocephalum. Another little tiny Dryadella, tiny little green leaves. This is Dryadella puseola. Here's this long, lanky thing is Zootrophion hertzii. This is also from Ecuador. I like orchids from Ecuador, so that's a nice. This is going to go on one of my DIY mounts. I'm going to kind of like bend it around the mount so it kind of like gets as much contact with it as possible. This is one of the dendrochilums. This is Wenzelii. This produces lovely red racemes of flowers, and it looks like grass. They were always priced too much when I'd seen them before, but this guy was. I think I got 3 of these. I could get 3 small orchids for like £8, I think. This is one I've been after for ages, just because it's so unusual in its form. This is Dendrochilum tenellum. If you can see that by my hand there. It just looks like grass, but it produces lots of pretty white flowers. I've got some real treats down here. This guy has not travelled well. This is a sad orchid. It looks lush and green, but it's sad, okay, because it's dropping leaves. I think it got a bit dry. So this is Dryadella cristata. The reason I've got some Dryadellas is I used to grow 2 of them, one of which was Zebrina. I can't remember the other one, but I killed them well, they just didn't make the move. They basically got shocked and went, oh, I'm going to die. So that was in there. And I really like them. They're really small, take up hardly any room, but they produce very pretty, smelly flowers. This is Dicea laxa, and it looks very similar to Dendrobium dichioides. So we can see where that Dendrobium species gets its name from. It does look like a Dicea. So we always really liked the form of these, and they produce very sweet little flowers. So very interested. Always wanted one of those. I hang it back on the pot. The other one is freaking amazing. It looks like a dinosaur. I think it's like a Stegosaurus, I think. Check that guy out. Very miniature, very unusual looking thing. And this is Dicea hystricina, and it just looks brilliant. That is very architectural looking plant, very pretty. So that's all the orchids. Okay, so that's all the orchids. That's a quick look at them. What I'm going to do is work out what I'm going to do potting or mounting some of these. I don't even know myself yet, and I don't think I'll really know until I start actually taking them out. But what I will do is, once everything's potted up, I'll show you guys and we'll have a little look and see how I have mounted them or incorrectly mounted them or attached them to something or other. So we'll have a look at that together at the end. And I think I'm going to be busy over the next sort of 4 to 5 hours. So yeah, tune in a minute and we'll have a look, see how I got on. Okay, so I'm nearly done. I'm sort of on the last orchid to pot up. All the others have been done. I've even mounted one of them. The other Dicheas have sort of been arranged so they're drooping over the edge of the pots that they've been put in, because they're going to be hanging. In fact, all of these orchids, apart from probably this Dracula, are going to be hanging on my extended orchid hanging wall, because I've extended it. I will do a greenhouse update, but I've extended it over the whole back of the greenhouse. So I've got lots of options for hanging things up. And what I've done is I've been using, hopefully you can see that on the camera. These are little, I think they're 3-inch pots, 4-inch pots. I've made some holes in the side of them. I've melted some holes in there for a little bit of aeration. And what I've done is on the back here, I've used hot glue and I've glued picture hooks. Hopefully you can see that relatively easily. I've just glued that with, it becomes such an incredible bond. I mean, you'll never get that off of there apart from if you like pull the whole pot apart. And what that's going to allow me to do is to clip this over the orchid wall so that it'll all hang up nice and neatly, and it's going to look super smart. As for potting, what I've been using for potting is I've got some orchid bark over here. In fact, it's probably better if I get you in close for this one, so I'm going to move you. Okay, so centre of shot here. I've moved you guys down so you can see this. What I've been doing, there isn't much bark left in here now. How I've potted all of these orchids is I've put a decent layer of medium grade orchid bark. There's some more from over here. It's soaking wet because it's been in some rainwater for the last, I don't know, couple of hours probably, just to give it a head start on hydration. What you don't want to do is you want to give your media time to soak, otherwise you'll never catch up with saturation levels, you see. So what I've been doing is I've been putting about this much orchid bark, almost as much as half the container, medium orchid bark, and then what I'm doing is I'm wrapping the root system of the plant, which is going in the sphagnum moss, and placing it in, and then topping the rest up with sphagnum moss. So you've got two layers. You've got a layer of medium grade orchid bark with extra holes. This is going to be the one for the Dracula, because obviously it likes to produce its flower spikes at the bottom. So I put lots of extra holes, and I'm not putting it in a net pot because most of the time they will find a way out, and it's not usually an issue. I've done a little bit of research. I mean, I could put even more holes in there, but I just don't think it's necessary at this point in time. If I think that the plant is struggling to produce flower spikes through this, and it's going to be pretty loosely packed, then I may unpack that in future and put it in a different pot. But at the moment, my main concern is actually keeping it alive. So if I can keep it alive, I know I can grow it. If I know I can grow it and keep it alive, then likelihood is I can probably bloom it as well. So it's going to be going in there, wrapped in sphagnum moss and just packed in gently. So I'm going to get on and do that now. Okay, so in front of us, after 4 hours of potting, I finally got all of the plants I bought from the Orchid Show, and also obviously delivered by Equigenera, all potted up and ready to go into the greenhouse. And it looks really good. It's at this point when I'm like, my God, I've actually got loads. I bought loads and loads of plants. I have made more space for them, and I think they're going to look really good, and they're going to be really happy where they are. But it pushes for the inevitable. I am going to have to reorganise the greenhouse. I'm going to have to get rid of some plants. I'm going to have to put some on eBay or something like that to make some more space, because I just seem to be going more and more towards mounted miniature orchids or smaller growing orchids. I just find them that much easier to accommodate. I'm going to pick you up and move you forwards, and we can have a little look at some of the plants that we've got. So this first tray, you're not very straight on that. Let's try and get you guys, so it's kind of lined up. A little bit tidy. I was trying to get in the shadow too much so you can see these plants. So the little dicheas, which were already beautifully mounted, I haven't done too much with them. This one is laxer. They need a good water. They're going to get hung up in a shady location in the greenhouse. Same for this little guy. Just haven't done anything to it. It's just going to go in the greenhouse, and when it starts to grow the mount, I will stick it on a bigger bit of cork. This is the Zootrophen, or Zootrophian. I've mounted it on one of my DIY orchid mounts with a very sphagnum rich mix in there. There is some grow stone and some large bits of orchid bark or medium grade orchid bark in there as well. If I zoom you guys in, we'll be able to do a little bit of a zoom through, and I'll try and remember what everything is. So that's Dendrochilum tenuis. Over the back is Wenzellii. Over the back we've got, this is the row of Poroglossum, so straight in front of us here. Got Muscosum and Delstromii. They've got that lovely veined leaves, on all the younger leaves when they're coming through. Got this lovely sort of veiny colour. Really happy with those. Straight in front of us, this is the row of Dryadella with Puceola in front and Cristata behind. And then the bigger one at the back is Simula. I'll zoom in so you can see that guy as well over the back there. Over the left we've got Scaphocephalum. The big one, I can't remember what it's called. It is Ursinum. This is Ursinum. It's got a sort of a coppery colour to the leaves. I think it just got a bit dry. Some of the orchids got a little bit. They have travelled a long way on a plane. This is the only orchid in front of us here which I have suspicions about. If anything's not going to make it, it's going to be this guy. This is Scaphocephalum breve, or breve. It's the dark flowered version. A lot of the leaves, when I unwrapped it, had like perished at the petiole, so they just came off. And the only viable leaves we've got is this one here and this one here. There's a good crown and good root system, but only two viable leaves at the moment. So if anything's not going to pull through, it's going to be that one, and I am slightly concerned about it. So really hydrated, somewhere in the shade, and we'll have to just fingers crossed, everybody, for that one. But we'll do an update. And then right down in front is this lush tuft of grass. This is Diadenopsis. Hang on a minute. Diadenopsis Ernaceae. Very, very unusual. It's very, very close related to the Masdevallia family, always part of the Masdevallia family. So that's a really, really lush looking plant. It doesn't even look real. It's so green. Over the back, if I zoom over, right over here, centre of shot, zoom out a little bit. This is the Dracula orchid. It's very lush green. It's got a little bit of dieback on a couple of it, lots of nice new growths on it. And that's lots of sphagnum, growth stone, a little layer of medium grey cork bark in there, which I've already discussed. Over the back, we've got the two dikeas. We've got Trula on the right hand side, which is this one, which has got this fantastic growing habit. I love it. I love the way it droops. And it's got this sort of like feathery foliage, and it produces flowers from the canes. That's a really, really cool little orchid. And also, I don't know if anybody else is growing these in the UK, but I'd love to hear from you if you are. And because there's literally hardly any cultivation notes on these at all. And over the back there, this one is, I've got to look again because I can't remember, this is Trula. So they look quite similar, but they are different species. The flowers are different. There's some sort of morphological difference there. So it's quite a haul. I've got a lot of orchids to put in the greenhouse, and that's what I'm going to do now because it is midnight and I need to go to bed. Okay, so thanks everybody for coming along on this little video. I hope you've enjoyed the large number of orchids I've purchased for the greenhouse. As I previously mentioned, I've extended the orchid hanging wall across the whole back of the greenhouse. I'm at home this weekend as well, so I'll be filming a big update in the greenhouse. We're going to have a good look at everything. I like to get a bit of time in, a couple of hours as well to tidy everything up beforehand because I haven't done my spring clean yet. I've got the bubble wrap down off the roof, but it just needs, everything needs a good wipe down and a good sorting out. So I shall do that this weekend, and I shall take you guys along to have a look at some of the plants when they're all hung up. So stay tuned. Don't forget to give us a like down below if you've enjoyed this video, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want regular updates or to be notified when I upload a new video. Make sure you hit the bell, otherwise it doesn't let you know or something like that. So thanks again. I'll see you soon.